My name is Li Deshao. I'm the best chef in the village. For the longest time, I charged the low price of 200 bucks a table to cook up huge feasts of meat and fish for the folks around here. But just because I raised the price of a banquet from 200 bucks to 250 bucks, the village chief pointed right at my face and cursed me out. You ungrateful brat, you're trying to scam your own neighbors? Have you lost your damn mind over money? I stared at the braised pork trampled all over the ground, and just let out a cold laugh. I'm hanging up my ladle for good. Next day, the stoves were dead cold. I stuck up a piece of red paper that read, "My skills are lacking. I am unworthy of your business. Effective immediately, I am retiring. Please find yourselves a better chef." But even with all that, somebody still came knocking on my door. Li Deshao, open the door. Li Deshao, I know you're in there. The wooden door rattled from the loud banging. The guy shouting had a booming voice. It was my childhood buddy. Wang Tieju's dad is turning 70 tomorrow, and he booked me to cook for the banquet a long time ago. I didn't open up, I just shouted back through the door. Did you not see the red paper on the door? I saw it. What the hell has gotten into you? What about my dad's birthday feast? You'll just have to find a better chef. Everyone in this damn village knows you're the best cook. Where else am I supposed to go? Besides, I already paid you the money. I'll refund you double. The banging outside suddenly stopped. After a moment, Wang Tieju's muffled voice came through. Deshao, if you're pissed off at the village chief, why are you taking it out on me? We grew up butt naked together. You can't just throw away that kind of brotherhood, right? I slid the deadbolt back. Wang Titsu was standing at the door, looking completely frantic. Come on in first. I let him into the yard. I brought 2,000 bucks out from the house and handed it to him. 1,000 for the deposit. The other 1,000 is from me. As an apology, Wang Titsu didn't take it. His eyes were a little red. What are you doing? Are you really trying to cut ties with me? Look, Titsu, I'm not cutting ties with you. It's just that, I really can't bring myself to cook this one. Just because of what the village chief said? Not entirely. I pointed at the baskets of veggies and racks of meat piled in the corner of the yard. Just look, these are the ingredients I prepped for your dad's birthday banquet. Large yellow croaker flown in from the East Sea, 120 a pound. Pork belly ribs from black hair pigs, 45 a pound. And these free-range chickens. These wild mountain mushrooms. I ran my legs off to get every single one of these for you. 200 bucks a table. 10 dishes, 8 meats, and 2 veggies. Why do you think I did all this? I did it because your dad helped me out when I was down. I did it for our friendship. But that friendship just got trampled into the dirt. Wang Titsu was completely speechless. Looking at those top-quality ingredients. His face turned red, then pale. He knew I was telling the truth. Never anyone in the village hosts a banquet. They all want to spend the least amount of money for the absolute best food. Relying on my cooking skills and my own connections for sourcing, I've always found ways to keep costs rock bottom while putting together the most decent feast. 200 bucks a table. You won't find a deal like that anywhere around here. But human greed knows no bounds. They got so used to it that they started taking it for granted. The second I raised the price by just 50 bucks, I just became a money-hungry, ungrateful wretch. Wang Titsu tried to say something. Save it. I cut him off. I am not cooking for your family's feast. The village chief led the charge to flip my tables yesterday. If I turn around and cook for your family today, where does that leave my dignity? End of discussion. Wang Titsu hung his head. After a long pause, he squeezed out a few words through his teeth. Fine, Chef Li, you're ruthless. He didn't take the money and just turned and walked away. I knew right then, all our years of friendship had completely come to an end today. I took the money back, feeling an indescribable knot in my stomach. The door was left open, and the village chief's wife, Zhang Kuiwa, strutted right in. She gave me a sideways glare and spoke in a mocking tone. Well, is the great master Chef Li actually hanging up his apron for good? I hardly deserve the title, master. Oh, don't say that. My nephew on my side of the family is getting married next month. And we're counting on you to run the kitchen. I can't do it, you'll have to find someone else. Chef Li, don't be so ungrateful. My husband was just doing what's best for everyone. He was worried you were ruining the village's traditions. What traditions? The tradition of eating fine food without paying a single dime? You. Zhang Kuiwa was so choked with anger by my comeback that she was left speechless. She pointed a shaky finger at me. Fine, you've got nerve. You think we're gonna starve without you? Let me tell you something. There are plenty of folks in this village who know how to toss a wok. That's fantastic news. I made a gesture toward the door. Watch your step, I won't see you out. Zhang Kuihua stormed off in a huff. I stared at her wide, retreating back. I shut the courtyard door. Looks like I won't be able to stay in this village much longer. Wang Titsu ended up finding someone else after all. Peng, from the east side of the village. He used to be a kitchen helper under me. Picked up a few basic tricks and then struck out on his own. Specializing in those cheap banquets that cost $100 a table. You can't really call it culinary skill. More like just making sure the food is fully cooked. Zhang Kuihua announced it over the village loudspeakers. Old Wang's 70th birthday banquet is still happening at the usual spot. With our new master chef, Peng, running the kitchen. Guaranteeing it'll be way better than what a certain black-hearted somebody makes. And cheaper, too. That was obviously meant for me. The villagers were gossiping non-stop. Chef Li is ridiculous. Why did he have to raise his prices? Exactly. We're all neighbors here. What's wrong with doing us a favor? San Peng is alright too. I've had his cooking before. It's just a bit too greasy. And a bit heavy on the salt, but it's edible. For sure, and it's $50 cheaper than Chef Li. These whispers drifted into my courtyard, bit by bit. I completely ignored them. I divided up the ingredients in my yard and gave them away to a few elderly folks living alone in the village. With what was left, I stewed a pot of Buddha jumps over the wall just for myself. After a few rounds of drinks, the rich aroma of meat filled the air. Even all by myself, I had a thoroughly satisfying meal. On the day of Wang Tieju's birthday banquet, the village was loud with gongs and drums. They set it up right on the threshing floor outside my house. Separated from me by just a single wall, I could hear Peng yelling his head off at the stoves as clear as day. Soy sauce. Pour the soy sauce in. Don't be stingy with it. Skip frying that fish, just throw it straight into the stew. It saves time. Very soon, a smell mixing heavy cooking grease and raw fishiness drifted over. I frowned. On the other side of the wall, the guests were already taking their seats. Why does this dish look pitch black? Yeah, why does this braised pork look like lumps of charcoal? Let's just taste it first. Just give it a try. What followed was an eerie, dead silence. Then, someone couldn't hold it in anymore. What the hell is this garbage? This is way too salty. Good lord, is this fish rotten or what? It totally reeks. Peng, do you even know how to cook? The scene was starting to get chaotic. I dragged over a ladder and quietly peeked over the wall to see what was going on. I saw that almost nobody at the banquet was touching their food. Wang Tieju's dad, the old man whose birthday I was originally supposed to be cooking for, looked absolutely livid right now. Wang Titsu was holding a plate of food, stomping furiously over to the stove. He smashed the plate right onto the ground. Peng, I hired you to cook for a birthday banquet, and you serve me this pig slop? Peng stiffened his neck, wiping the grease off his face. For $150 a table, what did you expect, a 5-star meal? It's my dad's birthday, and this is the garbage you whip up? Then go find Chef Li, why don't you? Peng was getting fired up too. He charges $250 a table, go ahead and hire him. Let's see if he even gives you the time of day. That struck a real nerve with Wang Titsu. He swung a punch right at him. The two of them instantly started brawling. Seeing this, the guests all jumped up. Some tried to break up the fight. Some were cursing up a storm, and others just walked right out. What was supposed to be a nice birthday celebration turned into a complete and utter circus. Everyone, please calm down. Everyone take a seat, but nobody was listening to him. Zhang Kuihua marched right up and shoved an untouched plate of roasted meat in his face. Old Lu, take a bite of this. Is this crap even fit for human consumption? If you hadn't led the charge to force Chef Li out, would we even be in this mess? Exactly, we could have been enjoying a great meal, but you just had to stir up trouble. And look what happened. Old Wang's birthday banquet is completely ruined. We've all been utterly humiliated. Lu Quanfu's face flushed red, then went totally pale. He just stood there with his megaphone, completely speechless. I climbed down from the wall and just shook my head. It was honestly pathetic, and hilarious. The birthday banquet ended in a complete disaster. Wang Tieju's family became the laughingstock of the whole village. Peng got beaten black and blue, too. He swore he'd never cook for anyone in this village ever again. Suddenly, the village was hit with a serious chef shortage, which was totally unimaginable before. Our village has tons of weddings and funerals, so having big banquets is an absolute must. Back when I was around, no one ever worried about it. But now, I've hung up my apron, and Pang threw in the towel. With Zhang Kuiwa's nephew getting married next month, they were starting to panic. That night, someone knocked on my courtyard gate again. I opened the door, and there was a huge crowd standing out there in the dark. Leading the pack was the village chief, Lu Quanfu. Right behind him was Wang Titsu, along with a bunch of the village elders. Zhang Kuiwa was there too, hiding out in the back. Lu Quanfu had this really complicated look on his face, like he had to try really hard just to force a smile. "Hey, chef, have you eaten yet?" I leaned against the doorframe. "What do you want?" "Well, what happened before was just a misunderstanding." Lu Quanfu rubbed his hands nervously together. "I had a bit too much to drink that day, so I was a little out of line. Please don't take it to heart." "Oh, I didn't take it to heart," I said coldly. I wrote it down in my notebook instead. Lu Quanfu's smile instantly froze on his face. One of the elders stepped in to smooth things over. "Come on, chef, we're neighbors. We see each other every single day. We all live in the same village. There's no need to hold a grudge." Exactly, the village chief was only looking out for everyone. He was just worried that if you raised your prices, it'd be hard for the rest of us to afford it later. I let out a laugh. "Hard to afford? You mean it's hard paying the same cheap price, but not getting my food anymore? That's the real problem, isn't it?" The crowd went dead silent. Wang Titsu stepped forward. He looked right at me, his eyes completely filled with regret. "Chef, I was wrong. I shouldn't have doubted you. My dad's birthday banquet," he said, his voice breaking. I completely messed it up. I just looked at him, saying nothing. Seeing this, Lu Quanfu quickly chimed in. Yeah, about what happened with Taizu. We're all to blame for it. But mostly, it's because we didn't have you to lead the way." "And so?" I asked. "So, we were hoping you'd agree to come back and take charge again." Lu Quanfu's face burned with embarrassment as he said it. "That's right, Da Xiao. My nephew is getting married next month, and we're really counting on you for the banquet." Zhang Kuiwa chimed in, leaning forward. "Please, Da Xiao, just help the village out this one last time. We can negotiate the price. We'll pay the 250 you asked for." The whole crowd started talking over each other, begging me with desperate sincerity. As if they weren't the exact same people pointing fingers and cursing at me just days ago. They figured I was still the same old, soft-hearted Li Da Xiao. Thinking that if they just groveled a little and buttered me up, I'd just pretend like nothing ever happened. Too bad for them, they were dead wrong. "Go find someone better." I repeated those exact words. Instantly, the crowd fell dead silent. Lu Quanfu's expression darkened. "Li Da Xiao, what the hell is that supposed to mean? All of us came out here to ask you nicely, and you're still gonna act all high and mighty? I told you, my skills are too unrefined for such a high-class crowd. You little." Lu Quanfu pointed a shaky finger at me. "We're showing you respect, don't throw it back in our faces. Believe me, I will make it impossible for you to keep living in this village." I raised an eyebrow. "Oh, and how exactly are you going to do that? Are you gonna come trash my house, the same way you trashed my banquet tables?" Those words landed like a hard slap, striking Lu Quanfu right across his face. The people standing behind him cringed, looking totally humiliated. "Li Da Xiao, don't burn all your bridges," an older man yelled out. "Are you really planning to make an enemy out of the entire village all by yourself?" I stared at their faces, some glaring with hypocrisy, others dripping with a smug sense of entitlement. And suddenly, I just really wanted to laugh. And I actually laughed out loud. "Go against the whole village? Like you guys are even worth it." My laughter sounded incredibly harsh in the dead of the night. Everyone just froze, staring at me like I was a complete madman. "Li Fan, you're way out of line." It was the first time he ever called me by my full name. I dropped my smile, and my eyes went ice cold. "Me? Out of line? Secretary Lu, I'd really love to ask you, who gave you the nerve to bring your guys and trash the banquet I prepared for my guests? Who gave all of you the nerve to trample all my hard work right into the dirt, and then have the guts to call me an ungrateful bastard? But now that you're starving, suddenly you remember I exist? What the hell do you take me for? Some stray dog you can just whistle at and kick away whenever you want?" My voice wasn't loud, but every single word hit like a nail, driving straight into the hearts of everyone there. Not a single person dared to say a word. They had probably never seen me like this before. In their minds, I was always just that quiet cook slaving away at the stove. The guy who never complained and always had a good temper. Let me tell you something. I glared at everyone around me. The old chef Lee, the day you smashed those tables to pieces. He died, and you're the ones who killed him. As soon as I said that, everyone gasped in shock. Wang Tieju's lips were trembling like he wanted to say something, but no words came out. Looking at them, my mind was finally crystal clear. This was my wake-up call. I finally understood that my kindness and goodwill, when faced with their pure greed and insane entitlement, were completely worthless. I was never their savior. I was just their free meal ticket. And the second I stop being free, I commit the ultimate sin. Fine, Li Fan. You're ruthless. Lu Quanfu gritted his teeth. Just you wait and see. We'll do just fine without you. He flicked his wrist, turning to lead the others away. Hold on, I spoke up. He stopped in his tracks and looked back at me, thinking I had changed my mind. I smiled, but there wasn't a trace of warmth in my expression. If you want me to cook, it's not totally out of the question. Everyone's eyes lit up. A smug look crept onto Lu Quanfu's face, as if to say, see, I knew you'd cave. What are your terms? Name them. I held up a single finger. 1,000 bucks. 1,000 bucks? Zhang Kuihua shrieked. 1,000 bucks for just one table? Why don't you just rob us blind? Exactly, I nodded. 1,000 bucks a table. 10 dishes. And that's just for my labor. You buy the ingredients. Take it or leave it. A dead silence fell over the courtyard. Everyone thought they had heard wrong. Jumping from 250, straight to 1,000. That wasn't a price hike. That was pure insanity. Li Fan, don't push it too far. I am pushing it. What are you gonna do about it? I stared right at him, emphasizing every single word. Secretary Lu, times have changed. In the past, I was the one begging you all, letting you pay 200 bucks to eat a 500-buck banquet. Starting today, you are the ones begging me. My skills are worth this price. What you got before was the friends and family discount. It was a dead loss for me. Now, the friendship is over, and I'm done losing money. Oh, and by the way, that 1,000 bucks, that's the price for outsiders. As for our village, I swept my gaze across the crowd. It's gonna cost you extra. How much more? 2,000 per table, and if you want to hire me, there's one more condition. I walked right up to Lu Quanfu, looking him dead in the eye. I want you, and everyone else who laid their hands on my tables that day, every single household, to bow down and apologize to the kitchen god shrine in my yard. If one person is missing, or even one bow is skipped, I am hanging up my ladle for good. After saying that, I didn't give a single one of them another look. I turned, walked right into the house, and slammed the door shut, leaving the entire yard full of people completely petrified in the night breeze. The next day, my price tag of 2,000 a table spread through the whole village. It became the hottest topic in town. He's crazy. Li Fan has completely lost his mind. 2,000 bucks for one table? Does he think he's some kind of royal chef? And making Secretary Lu and the others bow down to him? How does he have the nerve? He's completely offended everyone this time. Let's see how he survives in this village from now on. I completely ignored all their petty gossip. I gave the yard a thorough cleanup, tore down that old, shabby banquet stove, and paid to have a much bigger, professional brick stove built in its place. I even ordered a brand new set of pots, bowls, and pans online. They were so shiny you could see your reflection right in them. Seeing me set all this up, the villagers all thought I was just throwing a tantrum. Meanwhile, the wedding day for Zhang Kuiwa's family was getting closer and closer. They were panicking, sweating bullets over the whole thing. They went to town and brought in a few allegedly skilled chefs to check out the venue. Those chefs showed up, took one look around the village, saw the absolute mess that Pang left behind, and heard about my sky-high menu prices. We can't take this job. Lu Quanfu was getting desperate. What do you mean you can't take it? We can negotiate the price. The plump chef just laughed. Secretary Lu, this isn't about the money. Whoever takes over this mess of yours is just asking for bad luck. If we do a good job, people will just think it's expected. But if we mess up, well, Master Chef Li is a really tough act to follow. We'd be cursed out of town. Besides, we all know what Li Deshao brings to the table. With his talent, forget 1,000. Even at 2,000 a table, folks in the city would be fighting over him. You guys are sitting on a gold mine and asking for pennies. We are definitely not getting mixed up in this. After saying their piece, the chefs gave a quick bow and took off. Lu Quanfu's face turned completely grim. That afternoon, Wang Titsu showed up again. He came alone, carrying 2 bottles of premium liquor and a carton of good cigarettes. He stood out in my yard for a long time before finally speaking up. "Deshao, I'm here to make amends." With a loud thud, he dropped right to his knees in front of my new stove. That day, I acted like an absolute bastard. I shouldn't have doubted you, and I definitely shouldn't have let them cause such a scene. My dad's birthday banquet was ruined, and it serves me right. I'm not here today to beg for your forgiveness, and I'm not asking you to start cooking again. I just want to say, I'm so sorry. After saying that, facing the stove, he gave 3 deep, resounding kowtows against the ground. I looked down at him, my heart filled with mixed feelings. "Get up," I said. He looked up, his eyes rimmed with red. My dad said, "Li Deshao's talent cannot just be buried and forgotten like this. The village did you dirty. But our Wang family, we won't do you wrong. Here is 2,000 bucks. He pulled an envelope out of his pocket. "It's not money to hire you to cook. It's to pay you back for the banquet tables that got flipped that day. I know it's not enough, but please, take it as a token of my apology." I didn't take the money. "Titsu, remember this. You weren't the one who flipped my tables. But I didn't stop them either." He roared, his voice cracking with tears. I fell completely silent. "Deshao, I'm making a promise to you right here, right now. If anyone in this village ever dares to say a single bad word about you, I, Wang Titsu, will be the first one to shut them down." He set the cash, smokes, and booze on the stone table, then turned and walked away. I watched his back as he left, knowing that our old bond was slowly being pieced back together. It wasn't long before a few other guys from the village showed up. They were the same young punks who helped Lu Quanfu flip the tables the other day. They walked into my yard, every single one of them hanging their heads in shame. Without saying a word, they dropped to their knees and started bowing to the kitchen god. "Li Da Shao, we messed up. We must have lost our minds that day. We fell for Secretary Lu's crap. Please, be the bigger person. Don't hold it against us." I just stared at them, completely deadpan. I knew they hadn't suddenly seen the light. It was just that Zhang Kui Hua's family was out of options and forced them to put on this little apology act. When they finished groveling, they looked up at me with pathetic, puppy dog eyes. "You done begging? We're done. We're done." "All right then, you can leave." The guys froze, totally stunned. "I told you, every single person who laid a hand on my stuff that day needs to come down here and apologize. No exceptions. Where is Secretary Lu? Where is Zhang Kui Hua? Why aren't they here?" They're the elders. They couldn't swallow their pride." I just nodded, then let them keep their precious pride. I'm not cooking for the banquet. My absolute refusal left Lu Quanfu and Zhang Kui Hua completely out of options. In the end, her nephew's wedding ended up being a pathetic, quiet affair. I heard they had to settle for some tiny restaurant in town. Over a dozen tables crammed together in one little dining hall. The food was mediocre, and the whole vibe was just miserable. The bride was so furious that she packed up and stormed back to her parents' house that very same day. After that whole fiasco, the way the villagers looked at me changed completely. All that old disrespect and entitlement turned into deep respect and even a little bit of fear. They finally realized that I was no longer a pushover they could just walk all over. I stopped caring about the village drama and started figuring out my next move. I called up a friend of mine who's a food vlogger in the city and told him about my idea. The moment he heard it, he slapped his thigh in excitement. "Fanzi, you should have done this ages ago. With your cooking skills, hiding out in the village cooking $200 banquets? That's an absolute waste of your talent. Let me plan this out for you. We'll call it Chef Li's Private Banquet. Our main selling point? Authentic village wood-fired stoves, top-tier ingredients, and traditional cooking methods. You just wait. Your bro is gonna bring you a wave of high-end clients." Sure enough, a few days later, a black Mercedes G-Wagon drove right into our village. Now, a car like that caused quite a stir around here. Few guys stepped out, all dressed up in sharp suits. They looked like real big shots. Leading them was a middle-aged man wearing gold-rimmed glasses. He was the very first client my friend sent over. A wealthy businessman named Boss Joe. With the whole village watching him, Boss Joe walked straight up to my front gate. Lu Quanfu had heard the commotion and rushed over too, greeting him with a totally sickening, flattering smile. "Hello, boss. Welcome, boss. Are you here to look into some village projects?" Boss Joe just gave him a passing glance and completely ignored him. Instead, he looked right into the yard and called out to me. "Excuse me, are you Li Fan? The master chef Li?" I wiped my hands and walked out. "That's me. I've heard so much about you." Boss Joe reached out to shake my hand. "I was recommended by your friend, Old Wang. I came all this way specifically to taste your cooking. Welcome, please, come on in." I invited them into the courtyard. Meanwhile, Lu Quanfu and a bunch of villagers were clinging to the doorframe, craning their necks to peek inside. "Boss Joe, the menu I've prepared for you today. It's called the 4 Wild Flavors of the Mountain." I handed him a handwritten menu. "Oh? Let's hear it." The first dish is called Dragon and Phoenix. It features fresh grouper, caught right from the mountain streams, paired with a wild, free-range chicken from the woods, stewed into a rich broth. It's all about that pure, fresh flavor. The second dish, Buried Gold. These are sweet potatoes I grew myself, roasted in a traditional earth oven until they are as sweet as honey. The third dish, Bear in the Snow, uses the hind trotters of a black pig, simmered on a low flame for 8 long hours. Melts right in your mouth. It's all about that rich, tender texture. The fourth dish, Spring Breeze. It's made from freshly picked wild greens from the fields, tossed with my homemade cured meat, flash fried over high heat. It's all about that mouth-watering aroma. With every dish I described, Boss Joe's eyes lit up a little more. Brilliant, what an incredible 4 courses of the wild. He clapped his hands in absolute delight. Just hearing the names is making my mouth water. I'm in for a real treat today. I smiled, turning around to walk toward my new stove. "Just give me a moment, everyone. It'll be ready shortly." I lit the firewood in the stove. The flames roared to life with a loud whoosh. I laid out the prepped ingredients one by one. I took a deep breath and picked up my trusty old iron ladle. This time, I was cooking for myself, and for someone who truly appreciates the art of food. Out in the courtyard, Lu Quanfu's face looked uglier than the ash at the bottom of my wok. Inside the stove, the pine firewood crackled and popped. I began prepping the ingredients. That 1.5 pound mountain grouper. I scraped off its scales by running the back of my knife against the grain, peeling them off perfectly, like pieces of tiny armor. The hen was over a year old. I plucked and washed it clean, taking only the absolute best cuts, the breast and the thighs. Broth was made from pork bones, chicken carcasses, and cured ham, simmered for 24 solid hours. It was a rich, milky white, thick, heavy, and full of flavor. I dropped the fish and chicken into the wok with a few slices of ginger and a couple of red dates. I poured in the hot broth, covered the pot, and let it simmer gently over a low flame. The delicious aroma began to waft out, little by little. Boss Joe and his friends had been chatting away, but once they caught a whiff of that scent, they slowly went dead quiet. Their eyes were drawn to the stove, completely mesmerized. Outside the yard, more and more villagers were gathering around. They were up on their tiptoes, craning their necks, and sniffing the air as hard as they could. Good heavens, what is that smell? It is absolutely incredible. Did Chef Li use some kind of magic seasoning? Just the smell alone is 100 times better than that pig slop Pang makes. Zhang Kuihua was squeezed into the crowd, too. She stared at those wealthy city folks in my yard, smelling that powerful, mouth-watering aroma. Her face was twisted with pure jealousy and bitterness. And Lu Quanfu looked so furious, his face was as dark as a thundercloud. I ignored the commotion outside and stayed completely focused. While the soup was stewing, I tossed the prepped pork trotters into another pot. I added rock sugar, spices, and a splash of cooking wine, letting them slowly simmer over low heat, just like the soup. Then, I grabbed some sweet potatoes, wrapped them in wet clay, and tossed them right into the dying embers of the stove, letting them roast slowly in the heat. 1 hour later, the dragon and phoenix soup was finally ready to be served. Golden drops of chicken fat floated beautifully on top of the milky white broth. The fish was pure and white. The chicken was perfectly tender, finished off with a sprinkle of bright green scallions. Just looking at it was enough to make your mouth water. Boss Joe scooped himself a bowl and gave it a good sniff. Then, he took a very careful sip. The very next second, his eyes shot wide open. So flavorful, that was all he managed to say, before he buried his face in the bowl and started gulping it down. He did not even care to speak anymore. His friends had the exact same reaction. For a brief moment, the only sound at the table was the loud slurping of hot soup. The entire pot was completely empty in no time. Boss Joe finally put his bowl down, looking like he still wanted more. He let out a long, satisfied breath. Chef Lee, just for this one bowl of soup alone, that $1,000 was totally worth it. Next up was the bear in the snow dish. The pork trotters were braised so perfectly they fell right off the bone, glowing with a beautiful reddish glaze. The aroma is absolutely irresistible. With a gentle pinch of the chopsticks, the skin and meat just fall apart. It is so soft and jiggly. It melts right in your mouth, filling it with such rich, savory goodness. This is so good. One of the young guys says, his mouth covered in grease. I have never had pig trotters this delicious in my life. Next up is the spring breeze dish. The crisp, wild greens perfectly balance out the richness of the pork. And the savory bite of the cured meat is just the cherry on top. Finally, I pull the roasted sweet potatoes out from the bottom of the stove. I crack open the dried mud on the outside, and a sweet, caramelized scent instantly fills the air. Breaking the sweet potato open reveals the golden inside. Sweet, honey-like juice drips down from the cracks. Boss Joe and his friends don't even care about looking polite anymore. They grab one each, blowing on them because they're so hot, but enjoying every single bite. The whole meal is an absolute delight for everyone. After eating, Boss Joe pulls out his wallet. He counts out 10 crisp 100 yuan bills and hands them to me. Chef Lee, here is the money for today's meal. Then, he counts out another 10 and hands them over as well. And this extra 1,000 is your tip. Your cooking skills are more than worth this price. I don't turn him down, and take the cash. As long as you're satisfied, Boss Joe. Holding that thick stack of cash, I walk over to the courtyard gate. Right in front of all the villagers. I slowly and carefully count it, bill by bill. Under the sunlight, those red bills glare so brightly it physically hurts some people's eyes. 2,000 yuan. I finish counting and give them a little smile. Just for one meal, Boss Joe and his crew leave, completely satisfied. Before leaving, Boss Joe even adds me on WeChat, saying he's going to bring even more friends next time. The news that I made 2,000 yuan for a single meal spreads like wildfire, and completely blows up the whole village. Jealousy, envy, and pure bitterness. All sorts of feelings spread wildly among the villagers. Why does he get that? Just for cooking a meal, he makes what takes us half a year to earn. Those city folks just have money to burn. That punk, Li Fan, is stepping on the rest of us in the village to climb his way up. To them, I became a total sellout. Lu Quanfu was so pissed off, he didn't even step out of his house for days. I became the village outcast. An outcast who got rich by ripping off city folks. They started completely freezing me out. If I bumped into anyone on the street, nobody would even say hi. When I went to the little village shop to grab some things, the owner would just give me the cold shoulder. Some kids even started throwing mud at my courtyard wall. But I didn't care. A few days later, my friend posted his social media video online. In the video, my courtyard looked rustic and elegant. My wood-fired stove looked incredibly warm and inviting. And my dishes looked absolutely mouthwatering. The title of the video was straight to the point. The Countryside Master Chef, a private banquet for $1,000. Do you think it's worth it? The video blew up. My WeChat friend requests instantly went through the roof. Everyone was messaging me to make a reservation. My private dining experience got fully booked out for the next 2 months straight. After that, the villagers were fuming even more. Especially Lu Quanfu. He had to watch as a villager he could no longer control started doing better and better. His authority was being challenged like never before. So, he started abusing his power as the village chief to secretly sabotage me. One morning, I got up and went to the well at the village entrance to draw some water. But when I tossed the bucket down, I couldn't pull anything up at all. When I finally yanked it back up, the bottom of the bucket was covered in thick mud and sand. Someone had dumped a massive load of sand right into a perfectly good well. I didn't even have to guess who did it. This was the only old well in the village with the best quality water. I'd always used this specific well water for my cooking. They were trying to completely cut off my livelihood at the source. Few villagers were standing nearby, pointing at me, just glaring at me with these smug, gloating looks on their faces. Let's see how he cooks without the well water. Yeah, let's see him try to use plain old tap water. Can you city folks even stomach this? I didn't argue with them. I just picked up my empty bucket and went home. That afternoon, a drilling truck drove right into the village and parked right outside my yard. The workers started drilling right away, clanking and clanging. The villagers were absolutely dumbfounded. Is he digging his own well? How much is that gonna cost? Lu Quanfu rushed over when he heard the news. He pointed right at the drilling foreman and started yelling. Who told you to come here? This is farmland. You can't just drill a well without permission. The foreman calmly pulled out a permit with an official red stamp. We're a legit company, and we've got all the paperwork right here. Mr. Lee here applied to drill a well on his residential property. It is completely legal. Lu Quanfu was left totally speechless. He had no idea that I already saw this coming, and got all the paperwork sorted out way in advance. 2 days later, a brand new, deep water well was fully drilled right in my yard. The moment they struck water, a geyser shot straight up into the air. Crystal clear and perfectly sweet. I grabbed a scoop of it, and right in front of everyone. Drank it all down in one big gulp. Now that's some good water. The villagers watching looked absolutely miserable, each face sourer than the last. Since cutting off my water didn't work, they came up with another trick. The pork I use for cooking, I had always bought it from Butcher Zhang down in the village. So, the other day I went to buy some meat, but Butcher Zhang started stammering, saying he was all out. All out? Then what are those things squealing in your pig pen? Those are already reserved for someone else. I looked at his shifty eyes and immediately knew what was going on. Alright, fine, I just nodded, turned around, and walked away. The very next day, a massive refrigerated delivery truck pulled up right to my front door. 2 delivery guys hopped out and hauled out half a carcass of premium, top-grade pork with the fancy labels still on it. I paid the bill, signed for the delivery, and even set up a standing order with the driver for a weekly delivery. Meanwhile, Butcher Zhang just stood there at his door, looking at that half-side of chilled pork. The quality and the cut were way better than anything his shop ever sold. His face turned completely green. He knew right then, he'd lost me as his biggest customer for good. Lu Quanfu tried to ruin my business. But what he didn't know was, the moment I decided to stop relying on this village, there was no way he could stop me anymore. My business just kept getting better and better. Every customer who walked in was either rich or powerful, and the cars they drove in, each one was fancier than the last. My little courtyard became a pretty unique sight in our village. With business booming like this, it was getting way too much for just one guy to handle. Washing veggies, chopping, keeping the fire going, cleaning up. I needed an extra pair of hands for all of it, so I put up a "Help Wanted" sign at the door. Hiring 2 kitchen prep workers. Salary is $3,000 a month, with room and board included. $3,000 in a little village like ours? That was a seriously high salary. The average yearly income around here didn't even hit $20,000. The second that sign went up, it caused a massive stir. But at first, nobody dared to apply. Everyone was too scared of crossing Lu Quanfu. Only a few young guys came to ask me about it in secret. One of them was Wang Tieju's cousin. His name was Wang Xiaoshe. He dropped out after high school and just spent his time goofing off around the village. He never really had a proper job. Man, bro, are you really hiring over there? I sure am. $3,000 a month? $3,000 for the probation period. Once you're official, I'll raise it, depending on how well you do. Xiao Shuai's eyes completely lit up. He hesitated for a long moment, then gritted his teeth. Fan, I'm in. I don't give a damn about Lu Quanfu. Good man. I gave him a heavy pat on the shoulder. Come in and start working tomorrow. Aside from Wang Xiaoshe, a girl named Li Wan also showed up. Her family was one of the poorest in the village. Her dad had been sick for years, and she had younger siblings who needed to go to school. When she came to me, her eyes were all red. Brother Fan, please, if you just give me a chance, I'll do any heavy lifting or dirty work you need. Alright, you can stay too. And just like that, my little kitchen got its very first crew. I made sure to treat them right. On top of their pay, I fed them every day using the absolute best cuts of leftover meat. Shuai and Wan worked their tails off. They really cherished the job. The other villagers were totally jealous, but because of Lu Quanfu, they only dared to gossip behind my back. When Lu Quanfu saw that he hadn't ruined me, and that my business was actually booming, And I was even hiring a team. His blood pressure went through the roof. He called an emergency meeting with the village committee. We absolutely cannot let Li Fan keep acting so arrogant. He's dividing the village and buying people off. Zhang Kuihua was right there, adding fuel to the fire. Exactly, look at Wang Shuai and Li Wan. Now when they see us, they don't even look up. They only care about their precious boss, Li Fan. We have to find a way to teach him a lesson. They plotted for hours and finally came up with a vicious scheme. The village was about to pave the roads. Now, this was a good thing. The government gave us a grant. The village chipped in, and we could finally upgrade our muddy paths into concrete roads. But when Lu Quanfu was planning the route, he deliberately bypassed the road leading to my house. Not only that, he used the roadwork materials as an excuse to dump piles of gravel and bricks right onto the path connecting my yard to the main road. He blocked it off almost completely. He only left a tiny path about 1 meter wide. People and scooters could barely squeeze through, but there was absolutely no way a car could get in. Let's see how those folks driving their fancy Mercedes and BMWs. Gonna get to your place for dinner now. Lu Quanfu yelled at me smugly, standing right in front of the barricade. Even the other villagers thought it was a brutally low blow. Cutting off my customized path is like cutting off my lifeline. I looked at the pile of gravel stacked as high as a mountain. But I wasn't angry. Instead, I just laughed. I took out my phone and dialed Boss Joe's number. Brother Joe, I've run into a little situation here. I might need to bother you for a favor. After listening to my story, Boss Joe just chuckled on the other end of the line. I thought it was something serious. Just this little trick? Fancy, don't worry about it. Just focus on your cooking. I'll handle the road. Hanging up the phone, I felt totally reassured. Seeing that I had no reaction, Lu Quanfu thought I was out of options, which made him even more smug. Every day, he'd bring a small folding stool and sit right next to the roadblock, pretending to supervise the roadwork, but actually keeping an eye on me. Seeing that I hadn't had a single customer for days, he grinned so hard his wrinkles bunched up. How about that, huh? Chef Li, out of ideas, are we? He yelled at me. Let me tell you, as long as I am the village chief for even one day, don't even dream about this road opening up. The villagers all shook their heads too, thinking I was completely screwed this time. You just can't win against the man. Crossing Chief Lu never ends well. Wang Xiaoshe and Li Wan were both really worried. Brother Fan, what do we do? If the customers don't come, what about our wages? Relax, I comforted them. You won't be short a single penny of your pay. Let him block it. Let's see how long he can keep this up. 2 days later, a massive construction crew suddenly drove up to the village entrance. Excavators, bulldozers, steamrollers, they had it all. It was way more impressive than the village's little road repair team. They didn't enter the village, though. Instead, they stopped by the small river just outside. Our village is surrounded by mountains on 3 sides, and a river on the 4th. The only way in or out is an old stone bridge and that dirt road. And the one Lu Quanfu was supposedly fixing was that one and only dirt road. And this new construction crew was actually surveying and driving piles right into the river. What the heck were they doing? Everyone was completely baffled. Lu Quanfu hurried over to see what the commotion was all about. The person in charge of the construction crew, an engineer wearing a hard hat, blocked his way. Hello, we are with the Shengda Road and Bridge Company. We have been commissioned by Mr. Zhou Hua to build a donated public bridge right here. What? Build a bridge? Lu Quanfu was absolutely stunned. That's right, the engineer pulled out a blueprint. The new bridge will be a 2-way, 2-lane road, complete with sidewalks. It connects directly to the provincial highway, and the other end, will lead right to the back of Mr. Li Fan's yard. But, Lu Quanfu's voice completely cracked. But isn't the area behind Mr. Li's yard just a piece of wasteland? Yep, Mr. Zhou has already bought that piece of wasteland, and plans to turn it all into a parking lot, to make it easy for future dining guests to park their cars. The engineer's words struck like a series of deafening thunderbolts, ringing in the ears of Lu Quanfu and all the villagers. They blocked the road to my front door, so Boss Joe just straight up built me a bridge, brand new road, and one that connects directly to the provincial highway. It was way classier than that broken down dirt road in the village. Lu Quanfu's face instantly turned dead pale. He finally realized that the person he messed with wasn't just some ordinary cook like me, but rather, the power behind me. A level of wealth and power he didn't even have the right to look up to. He tried to use his power as village chief to crush me. But they just threw pure cash at it, and paved a massive, golden highway right over him. This was an absolute beatdown from a higher dimension. Lu Quanfu slumped helplessly onto the ground, staring blankly at the bustling construction site across the river. He couldn't even utter a single word. The bridge was built incredibly fast. In less than 2 weeks, a brand new concrete bridge was spanning right across the little river. One end of the bridge connected straight to the wide provincial highway, and the other end led to a parking lot beautifully paved with brick tiles. Going straight to the back gate of my courtyard, my private restaurant was finally open for business again, and it was booming even more than before. My guests didn't have to drive down that terrible bumpy village road anymore. They could just turn off the highway, cross the bridge, park their cars, and take their seats. It was super quick and easy. On the flip side, over in the village, that road Lu Quanfu was in charge of fixing. Well, because he ran out of money and was totally distracted. It ended up completely covered in potholes. The quality was an absolute joke, and the villagers were complaining non-stop. Separated by just one bridge, it felt like two entirely different worlds. On my side, cars were rolling in and the place was packed with guests. But over in the village, things were getting quieter and more deserted by the day. As for Wang Xiao Shuai and Li Wan's salaries, I bumped their pay up to 5,000 a month. They instantly became the envy of every young person in the village. Soon enough, a few more young folks used their connections to reach out to me, hoping to score a job at my place. I took them all in. My little courtyard had slowly transformed into its own little economic hub. It brought a wave of energy and cash flow to the village like never before. Meanwhile, Lu Quanfu's reputation had completely hit rock bottom. In the past, he acted like the local king of the village, holding all the resources in his hands. Now, I was the new center of opportunity. And since it was all a free market, he couldn't control a single thing. He had been totally stripped of his power. But he wasn't going to just accept that. Late one night, completely blackout drunk, he snuck up right outside my courtyard wall, lugging a huge bucket of gas. He wanted to burn down my kitchen, burn down my parking lot, burn down absolutely everything I owned. He wanted to take this place that completely humiliated him, and wipe it off the face of the village forever. It was his final, desperate act of madness. But the second he splashed that gasoline onto my back door, before he could even spark a lighter, several blinding flashlight beams hit him right in the face. It was Wang Xiao Shuai and Wang Taizu, and the few young guys I recently hired, rushed out from the shadows and pinned him straight to the ground. Lu Quanfu, are you out of your damn mind? Wang Titsu kicked the lighter right out of his hand, and roared. I walked out the back door, looking down at Lu Quanfu struggling on the ground. With ice-cold eyes, I knew he'd get desperate and try something stupid. So, I had my younger guys take turns keeping watch every night. Send him to the cops. I said flatly, no. Please, don't send me to the cops. Lu Quanfu panicked, suddenly sobering up. Li Fan, I was wrong. I was really, really wrong. Please, just let me go this one time. Let you go? I let out a laugh. Secretary Lu, when you brought your thugs to smash up my place, did you ever think about letting me go? When you choked my well with sand, did you think about letting me go then? When you blocked my road with boulders, did you think about letting me go? And now, you try to burn my house down. And you still have the nerve to ask for mercy? I walked right up to him and crouched down. Lu Quanfu, didn't you want to run me out of town? Well, today I'm gonna show you exactly who is really getting run out of this village. When morning came, the police cars pulled up to the village entrance. They took away the once arrogant and mighty village secretary. Attempted arson, piled on top of all his past dirty deeds. That's more than enough to put him away for a good long while. Watching the police cars drive off, the villagers were gossiping non-stop. But absolutely no one felt sorry for him. After Lu Quanfu was hauled away, the village held a special election. To my surprise, a lot of people nominated me. Even Wang Titsu came over to convince me. Xiao, you should just take the job. Everyone in the village respects you now. You should lead us. You'd definitely be way better than Lu Quanfu. But I turned them down. I'm just a cook. I can't manage that many people. My skills belong at the stove, not at a conference table. Instead, I recommended the village's old accountant. He's an honest and well-educated old gentleman. With my backing, the old accountant was successfully elected. And finally, the village got back on the right track. Meanwhile, my business just kept growing. Boss Joe saw the potential in our village's natural environment. He invested in building a high-end bed and breakfast right next to my private restaurant. He also partnered up with me, and we set up a local agricultural cooperative. I was in charge of providing the technical guidance, teaching the villagers how to grow vegetables and raise poultry up to organic standards. The cooperative would then buy everything from them. A portion supplied my restaurant and the bed and breakfast, while the rest went through Boss Joe's distribution channels, selling directly to high-end supermarkets in the city. The villagers' incomes multiplied several times over. Those folks who used to look down on me and isolate me? Now, whenever we cross paths, they respectfully call me Boss Fan. Wang Xiao Shuai became my head apprentice and kitchen manager. Li Wan became the head of finance for the cooperative. Both of them grew into leaders who could easily hold their own. Even Peng came looking for me to apologize. He said he wanted to learn the trade from me. I just stared at him for a long time. In the end, I told him to start by washing vegetables. I can teach you the skills, but your heart has to be in the right place. One day, it was the village's annual festival of the kitchen god. The newly appointed village secretary came to see me. He hoped I could cook a massive feast for the whole village. Just like we used to do, all those years ago. Boss Fan, the whole village will pitch in for the cost. We'll follow your rules. 2,000 a table, no questions asked. I just smiled. I looked around at the faces of the villagers, all of them looking so hopeful and a little anxious. And then, I nodded. Keep your money. Today's feast is on me. The whole village erupted in cheers. I was back at that familiar makeshift stove out on the threshing floor. Right behind me stood Wang Xiaoshe, Peng, and my whole crew of apprentices. And right in front of me were the respectful and grateful eyes of everyone in the village. I hefted that heavy iron ladle in my hand. The roaring fire cast a warm, red glow across my face. Looking at the ingredients laid out all around, and seeing all those smiling faces, my heart was filled with a burning warmth. This big ladle, it tosses the deep bonds of human connection. And this roaring fire, it burns with the countless flavors of life.